Remember, people buy on emotion. You create the logical case first. I say to you, listen, Kodak earns $4 a share. The industry's trading at 20 times earnings right now. Do math. 4 times 20 is $80. Right now the stock is 42. Take the company. Let's look at the breakup value. Take it, break it up, sell it off in small chunks. The breakup value is $130 a share. Right now the stock is 42. Let me ask you a question, sir. What do you think is going to happen to the price of the stock after litigation sales and institutions come pouring back into the stock? Where do you think it's going to go? Well, obviously it's going high. I say, exactly. That's a logical case. You say, you get it, you do math, you do asset values. That's a logical case. Make that case, they'll say, let me call you back. They won't buy. But if you make that logical case to someone, and then after they're freed up. See, what happens is the logical brain is almost the bullshit detector. This doesn't make sense. It's looking for bullshit, right? Once you satisfy the logical brain, you then free them up to be moved emotionally. Everyone get that process? What you do is you need to ask for permission to ask questions. You say, let me ask you a couple of quick questions so I don't waste your time. A couple of quick questions so I can best serve you. You have a transition. You ask for permission to ask questions. You never just start asking questions. So you ask for permission. Right there. One of the most important things here is when you're actually going about this, you've got to be using a script for your questions. Don't just be making up your questions willy-nilly. Every single industry, whether I'm sure what product you're selling, there's certain core things that you need to know about a client, okay? Make sure that your questions are well scripted out. I'm going to give you sample questions as part of the system. When you actually ask questions, you want to start off with big picture questions. You want to move from the general to the specific. You go from the general to the specifics, okay? You want to, at some level, the deepest level, to say, what are their whys? They have children, the stuff that really matters, okay? Certainty is not forever. It wanes very quickly. Here's what happens. I can get you to a point of certainty. Boom, you're at a 10 for like about a minute and a half. And then the second later, you drop back down to an 8. What happens typically is, remember I said in the beginning on day 1, I said, what you want to do is you want to corral a 10, 10, 10 in a single moment in time and ask for the order, right? A single moment in time. Guess what? At 4:12 in the afternoon, you got someone to a 10 on the company. At 4:14, they're at 8.5 already. In a minute, they already forgot all the great things you said, which is why you're constantly looping back and reminding them that fundamentally, logically, you keep satisfying the logical mind a little bit. But as you move down the line, what happens is this. You'll notice in the beginning, it's all logic in the company. In the end, it's all really you, your company, and future pacing. It moves much more on the emotional level. It's mostly about you. But you're always throwing a little bit about the company to button them back up to a 10. It's like a safety check to get someone back up to a 10 for certainty. Does that make sense to everyone? Certainty wanes. Like right now, who is certain that this makes all sense? Raise your hand. This makes sense. Everybody, right? Trust me, in 4 hours, you'll say, oh, it was great, but I'm not quite as certain anymore. Not because I did anything wrong, that's how we are. We never stay very certain about something for very long until it becomes a conviction. Then once you're really freaking sure from the balls up, if you're a guy, and I don't say that, okay, but if you're really sure, then no one could sway you. Like right now, no one could sway me that there's a better way to sell stock than this, because I know it is not. But someone that's less certain, they just heard about it, you're certain now, and then 2 hours, you're just not quite as certain. So what I do to make sure, I don't want to go through all of this and then say, oh shit, he fell back to an 8.5. So I throw in a bit about the company to make sure he's back being certain. Does that make sense? This is where the sale begins. When he says, what? Let me think about it. Let me speak to my wife. Let me call you back. Let me check with my accountant. It's the wrong time of the year. The market sucks right now. It's Groundhog's Day. It's leap year. It's New Year's Eve. It's Christmas. It's tax time. God knows what. It's summertime. I'm going on vacation right now. I got to check with my partner. All the frickin' stalls in the world. What he won't say is, it's a good idea, Jordan. I don't trust you because you're a freaking scam because my mommy told me when I was 5 years old. Now, that's not coming out. And that's the truth. The truth is he's not buying from you, A, because he's probably not certain enough yet about Kodak. Or maybe he is, it was a great pitch you gave him. But he's certainly skeptical about you and your company at this point, depending on how well-known your company is. Maybe for them acquire a bigger house, you have maybe some worse credibility. Or what's in the news these days with the big, you don't know anymore, right? Used to be, you call for a big wire house and you're in good shape. Not anymore, right? But the point is this, is that you're expecting him to say one of those stalls. And you are saying, just as expected. And you utter your magical first straight line pattern, which is what? I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? And of course we know there's how many things he could say. What? 3. He could say, oh my God, yeah, I fucking love it. Usually he doesn't say that. Just pretend this is like the water line in the ocean. Here's your water line. I'm the world's worst artist. And when you're on the phone with a client running a straight line pattern, and he's saying, no, 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 you're not like this. It's not going like that. What's happening is this. This is the water line here, right? Water line. Okay, this is essentially success. When he goes above the water line and you see it, he says yes. When he's saying no, he's below the water line. What's happening is this. As you're going, you're getting closer and closer and closer and closer and right. So you don't see the result yet. The same way a guy who's working to build his business, he might not be making money yet, but he's making massive progress below the water line. And all of a sudden, that last pinch of certainty, and the guy says yes, and boom, you're above the wall. Say, shit, the guy just said yes. No, he didn't. He was saying yes the whole time. He was getting close. Yes, yes, yes to certain parts of certainty. He just wasn't there on all 3 tens, or he hadn't lowered his action threshold. So what happens is this. If this is the 3 tens, then lowering someone's action threshold would be what? You'd be essentially lowering the water line. So you can actually increase his certainty or lower the water line and make it easier for the guy to say yes. But let me tell you something. When you are running a straight line that's, let's say, minute 1 and minute 60, and he closes here at minute 40, you don't think you're making progress between 1 and 40? You're making massive progress. It's just below the water line. This is why great salespeople understand that it takes 3, 4, or 5 no's to actually get to the yes. What no is, it's almost a euphemism for saying what? No means I am not certain. That's all it means. When someone says, let me call you back, let me think about it, I want to talk to my wife, or just plain old no, it just means I am not certain. In sales, the ultimate equation when you're closing is this. It's called energy in equal benefits out. Benefits out. Energy in versus benefits out. Meaning, if you lay out a closing scenario where someone has to expend lots of energy, they have to expend lots of energy to get only a few benefits, you think they're going to buy? Yes or no? No, they won't buy. Lots of energy in, few benefits out. Let me think about it. Very little energy in, massive benefits out. Will they buy? They very well might. They'll tend to buy. Massive benefits out, massive benefits received, very little energy put in. You say to someone, what I'd like you to do is this. Pick up a block of 10,000 shares of Kodak. It's a cash outlay of $420,000. Okay? You need to go down to your bank right now and wire the money. Then we'll open up an account. I'm going to send you the information. I need you to fill out the entire account form here tonight. You need to have it in typed please type it. Don't write, because I need to be very neat. I want you to type the account form up, please, and then put it in with a copy of your license. Also need your passport as well. And you can go down to the FedEx office, so make sure it gets there by 5 o'clock and deliver that, so it comes to you by 10:30. Open up the account, and believe me, you'll be very, very impressed. What do you say? Now, that's an exaggerated form of like the worst close ever, where you say, let me tell you how difficult it is to get started here. You have to fill out this long-winded account form. You got to make copies of all your personal details. I want you to go down to the bank, get a certified check, run to FedEx, drop it in the mailbox, run back home, and pick up that. And what's the worst? What's the most energy of all? That's a lot of energy, right? They got to run around and do shit. What's the most energy of all? 10,000 shares of Kodak. $420,000 bucks. What does that represent? Lots of stored energy. How long did they have to work to make 420 grand? Maybe a fucking year. So I want you to take 1 year of energy that you have stored up and give it to me? For what? Where are the benefits? Well, maybe I might, if you tell me about the amazing benefits and you make it really, really easy for me to engage in the transaction, which is why you say, getting started, write these words down. Getting started is very, very simple. And what happens with a straight line, and I'll tell you what happened with my firm now, is once I taught this to these kids, okay, it ignited a force in them, because when you have this ability, it's almost like it wakes up something inside you, because what changes is not only your ability to influence other people, but to influence who? Yourself. You start feeling completely different about yourself. And these kids went out there and they raised their standards. I would give meetings every single day. And I cracked their limiting beliefs. They would come in, their parents never told them to be rich, right? They thought they'd be working in 7-Eleven, these kids. I would say, the moment you walk through this door and you sit down behind this desk and you say the words I teach you, everything in the past falls off. You become as powerful as the most powerful CEO in America. If you pick up that phone, it's a weapon, you're a terrorist. And then I said I went wild, okay? And I said some stuff I shouldn't have said. But the point is that I'm a little bit older and wiser now, okay? But what I did is, the first thing I did is I cracked their limiting beliefs. And these kids went out there and achieved things, and I inserted what was called a motivation strategy, which I do now more elegantly, and I know what I didn't unconsciously. I showed them how to motivate themselves using anchors like pain and pleasure, and we've all heard of that before, but I took it to a much higher level. I did it at a much higher level, and boom, it worked. Ultimately, the mistake I made was very simple, and I'll tell you what it was. The system was incredibly effective to the point where it's still, today, it's still used all over Wall Street. Every big firm uses a straight line. If you look at my wall on Facebook, everyone's a straight line, this, the whole thing. I didn't even want to teach it. When I first started going, I taught everything but the straight line, because I thought, it's people, they'll commit bad things with it. It's like, bull, it was my own limiting belief. The system's beautiful and elegant. The problem is that I, myself, at the age of 26, became greedy. And that's it. At the heart of my problems, I would like to say it was drugs that made me do things that I went to jail for 22 months because I manipulated some stocks. And I deserve to go to jail for that, because I took this unbelievable, beautiful system that it works in any business, and I bastardized it by allowing them to use it to convince people to do shit they shouldn't do. My average income was 50, 60 million a year in my 20s. I could have made 30 million legitimately. 95% of what I did was strictly legit. It was the 5% that took me off the reservation, and I paid the ultimate price for it. The idea is that greed is not good, but the belief that Gordon Gekko inserted in me, my ass, when I saw he's on stage, greed is good. Remember the movie, right? Greed is good. I was like, fuck, greed is good. I thought that was true. It's not. It's ambition that's good. Greed doesn't cut through and clarify anything. Ambition cuts through. Ambition clarifies. To have a vision for a better future, not just for you, for your family, for the people you love. That's what I was missing. So I took the system that I just made as much as I could, as quick as I could, and I paid the price. Ultimately, I'm fortunate. I wrote a book. I got lucky. I wrote this book, and it got picked up all over the world. And DiCaprio's, great. My point is this, okay, is that if you can look at my life in any way, I want you to be able to pick up the great stuff from it, and this stuff which is amazing, but learn from the bad too. Is that when you develop this power, and you really, and you can do this stuff and really use it, only use it to help people get the things they need and to make decisions they should be making. Don't go off the reservation.